Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus. One more time. I'm so glad once again that you have found it necessary for you to stop on this post. This is a wonderful day, and it happens to be a Sunday when most people are going to church. And I'm not at church. I'm here preparing this for you. And I'm hoping it will be just as much or more of a blessing to you as those who are going to get or going to look for a blessing at church. I got to stop for a moment. I'm having some problems with it. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, I got this old ancient type of system set up here. Anything I can do or use to get a message to you is good enough. So here we are. Now, as I was saying, I want to draw attention to what's going on in the world today. And I want to do that because what is it to talk about a spiritual life, to talk about something that's better than this, to talk about something that's divine, to talk about something that's godly, if it cannot be associated with our everyday life. And so this, my friends, is the purpose. I'm here not to save your necessary soul, not to say that others aren't. It's just not my specialty. I'm here about your life. God gave you soul and life. And who's to say that any is better than the other? For me, I say they're one and the same. Just like you and God are supposedly one and the same. You just don't know it because you've been deceived. And when I say you, I'm talking about anybody who don't believe that. They have been deceived to think otherwise. And so when I'm thinking something that we are all focused on to some degree is the thing with your president, the thing that says that he should be impeached. Now, that's really just a charade, ladies and gentlemen. That gets a lot of your attention. It started back in 2016 when the powers that be decided to determine just how divided you were, just how conquered you have become based upon the indoctrination that you've been given ever since you've been here. And they saw pretty much that you, even though were advised that you had evil on the block, and said you had to make a choice for your representative, and either way you went, you were going to get evil, and you stood for it. You accepted it. You said a hell of a lot to the powers that be. And so they were able to bring in what some called a lesser of the two evils. And you see what you got. And as a consequence, you can, not just as a consequence, but you can observe that even at the same time, how divided the people are. One side plus the other side. I mean, totally divided, which indicates that this is basically a conquered people. Now, it's an opportunity for a conquered people who could admit that, for them to do some redress. A conquered people that could admit that would not be so snubbed as to bite off their nose in spite of their ugly face. I don't know how that goes. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'm basically trying to say is that this is an opportunity for you to do good. Now see, when we look at the people in the debate as it's going forward for the public to see, you see one side digging in with facts, with supportive facts, and doing this in spite of all the efforts that's made or that could be made that would either prove this to be exactly what the claim is or to totally exonerate it. So if you won't totally exonerate it, you're definitely not going to do anything to support the object of the other. And so you just keep it, which at the same time says what it says, guilty. But this is all a distraction. It's just a play to reward those who accept the devil's rule, to accept the opposite of love rule, hate. Well, that's what it's all about. And it's founded on a genuine foundation. Nobody can complain. Both sides are as guilty as any of the other. But it gives everybody an opportunity to see and make a determining factor on where we're going to go from here. Now, this whole big challenge before you, the American people, is to determine where you should give your focus. Now, the way it seems right now, and the way that the powers are expecting you to respond, is that those of you who have taken the side of evil, or and I'm going to call evil the other side of love. Now, let me make a difference, make a distinction between love. Love is for everybody. Evil is for some. Now, those who are taking the side for some, which is Republican, as we're talking about this conversation right here today. Now, you think you're 100% right. There's no doubt in your mind that you're absolutely right. Now, those who call yourself speaking for love, you're in the same position. You think you're right. You think you're totally, absolutely right. But the truth of the matter is, over here on this side, you know they don't give a darn about a certain percentage of the population. On the other side, you're pretending like, you're really not pretending. What you're actually saying is that you are a little bit more generous than the other side. That's what you're saying. You're a little bit more generous than the other side. Now, that little bit more generous, which has not been sufficient to meet the cause of the people, is what allowed this here gap to exist. But this gap to exist is because of the education we've been getting throughout our lifetime. We got to stop for a moment. This stuff isn't just happening. We got to stop for a moment. Stop. Stop for a moment. I remember back in the olden days, they used to say, if you can't think, go get a joint and hit it. Take one hit, put it out, go somewhere and sit down. And in a few minutes, start thinking. You'll come up with something in a minute that reveals all the junk. But I'm not saying go get high. I'm just saying think. Think about yourself, which is easy. Now, what is the big picture that's going on? I mean, everybody getting these little rewards. Putin got his, the guy in China got his, North Korea got his, Philippines getting theirs, down in Central and South America and other places across the globe, people got theirs. Everybody messing over people got theirs. That's their reward for messing over the people. Now, what's the big picture? Let me give you an idea, ladies and gentlemen, what the big picture is. Now, most of the places of human beings, when we talk about a superpower, something bigger than you and I, it's basically something that we call good, kind. For here in America, we call it love, we call it God, we call it the creator of it all. You know, all-knowing, God, the power. Now, God is love. If we all exist on this earth, right, we're here by God, the power of God. And in order for we the people to survive on this earth, there are certain things that must be met. You know, there are certain things that must be met in order for us to survive, in order for us to live. So our number one concern on earth as individuals, as human beings, is to survive. Now, the maker of us, who gave the blueprint for how to do these kinds of things, told us to treat each other as each other represents us. To share, to be a family. That's why we got these husband and wife and these little kids that come in there so we can learn how to share with one another. Well, that's supposed to go outside the walls. That's to prepare you to expand that same kind of love outside of your walls, out through the community, out through the state, out through the nation, out throughout the world. Partnership. Everybody got a responsibility. And he had it so set up. Woo-wee. Now, that was love. Now, the opposite of love came down and recognizing that everybody's concern was survival. But now, from his standpoint, and I'm just saying his, from his, because man always want to be control of things. From his standpoint of view, that he can make life more wonderful than that. Now, how can you make life more wonderful than wonderful is wonderful? Well, if you got a lot of wonderful, you must be convinced that a little bit more wonderful is better than wonderful. And if you ever experience wonderful, you know, and then all of a sudden you experience wonderful, and you know, and now somebody says there's something better, more than wonderful, now you already got something to observe how you move from one to the other. Maybe it is possible. So anyway, the way to move according to this new idea is that they got to use something that can replace your commitment to partnership that been producing this continuation of all your needs being met, your desires being met, and your wants being met. They got to find something that could replace that would offer you the same as that. And they came up with, well, I'm not going to try to tell you what they came back in the olden days, because I don't know, and I can't explain it to you like I do. But I do know what they use today. And what they use today is M-O-N-E-Y. Money. Money. M-O-N-E-Y. They say with money you can do anything. And you know what? Everything costs money. But who got the money? Who makes the money? Sees who gets the money. And if you control who gets the money, you can manipulate what it takes to get the money. Oh my God. And when you do that, ladies and gentlemen, for me, I easily see how the corruption comes into being. The same way we have it right here in the United States today, with Trump talking about fighting against corruption, and at the same time, another piece of people over here coming to end corruption, and America trying to require that they do end corruption. And at the same time, America, through somebody who's gone AWOL, is trying to introduce their own corruption into a nation that's being advocated as the new, stripped out of the corruption stuff. But at the same time, starting a new corruption with the nation, us. Now, what do you think that means? Don't you know if that man said, if that president in Ukraine said, I'll do whatever Trump wants, I'll do whatever the United States wants just to get that aid so we can survive. Don't you know that that president would be under Trump for as long as Trump is here and he's there? So this is the same thing that the people think that Putin has over Trump, because he's bending for Russia. So Ukraine would be bending for Trump. And Trump could use Ukraine for his own system of corruption. And in that is what you call a transparency into how lies and cheating and stealing and all of this come along. That is the way of the world. That is the way of the world. And if anybody comes from the God of love telling you about this kind of stuff, they're going to tell you just that. And they're going to tell you that even in the system that you're living in today, even the roles that you play, where you cannot even see the role of evilness, the role that it plays in the perfection and edification of evilness, you can't see it. But it is all a result of it. Let me give you an example. You say you got prisons. You got people you got guards, you got judges, you got other courts, representatives, you got laws, you got all of these representatives, cooks, you got wardens, got a job. A job. So we got these prisons and we got all these positions filled. For what? For prisoners, for criminals. Where they come from? They were created. They were created. Why? Because in the system that you live under, where you use money, These are people, for one reason or another, in different variations and statuses of life, were left out and were not benefiting from the processes that you had established as modes of operation. And so they came with their own, which was in violation to the rules that you had set to protect the junk that you had established as legitimate. And now what they have done, you call it illegitimate. You created them where if they had not followed your rules, if they had gone the way, the original way of the partnership, of the cooperation of the family, where everybody engaged themselves in the creative process that produced all they needed, and all they had to ever do was take from it as they need, want, and desire, and never have to lie, cheat, steal, kill, terrorize, war, racism, bigotry, never had to do any of that kind of stuff. And then someone comes before you and stand before you and tell you this stuff, and you call them ignorant while you put on your nice clothes, threatening to go and praise God in some building while somebody tell you some story about some history, about something associated with the spiritual powers. And you get up and testify how wonderful it is while you go along and do what you do and put up with what you put up with, and the only excuse that you have is that you're ignorant. You don't know any better. If you did, you would do better. And I say this to that degree. Yes, and I'm not bragging, but I am bragging that the Lord God Almighty loves you. I know doggone well He loves you. Because He took me, my ignorant self, threw my life away, grabbed it, gave it back to me, and said, now I want you to go do something for me. Go out there and tell the people they're on the road to hell, and then share with them my way. Okay. 40 years I've been out here doing this. Ran for president several times. On that, God's way. None of the stuff going on. No World Trade Center bombing, no Iraq, no all this junk. Because we would have fixed it. We would have fixed it. When I say we, talking about the power of love through us, the people. We would have fixed it. No, we want to keep on playing video games and put the power in the hands of people like the Congress, the Senate, and the House, and the President, and judges, and everybody making money except the poor. And they start choking the middle class. And you know what? You rejected that for all. And you ended up with Trump. And somebody just need to tell you you deserve it. Now you might not like it. Now, but that's what you got. Now let me say this. I say that the Republicans are only offering you something just supposedly a little bit different than the Democrats. Excuse me. The Democrats are only offering you something a little bit different than the Republicans, to say that they are a little better. Now, if you can go along with that, listen to me good, if you can go along with the Democrats offering you something that's just a little bit better than the Republicans, then you might as well keep your butt right where you're at, because you're no better than the Republicans. You are no better than the Republicans. A little bit better? Then what about all of that other where you fall short? What about? Do they agree with you? Do they hold you guiltless? Or do they hold you guilty? So when I say that the opportunity exists for you to make a real choice, you can make a real choice that we're going to fix this baby. We don't want to take another chance on any Republican, whether it's Trump back in office. We don't want to take another chance on any Democrat, man or woman, young or old, leading us anywhere we don't want to go, offering us anything that we don't want, but giving us all he can or she can to produce what we want. And so that power we put back in our own hands. And that's by committing ourselves to change. The kind of change that works not just for we as individuals, but for we as every last one of us. That we as the citizens of America may create like a flower that blossoms all across the field. For all the wild things to see, and those that fly above and look down at amazement. I'm talking about we the people, knowing that if we are so important as an individual, how much more are we as people? And so we commit ourselves to make that change. No more profiteering. No more people out here talking about I'm going to be a billionaire. No more feeding your guys out here with like Trump, want to be the richest man on the earth. No more of that stuff. Somebody say, well, in a democracy, well, this is a democracy. It is a democracy of people who have made a decision that no more of that stuff. Why? Because you can't benefit from it. Why? Because the powers that be, which are we, the people, have determined that no man will cause the suffering of another man if any other man got the power to cease it. Now that comes from God. Love, protecting yourself by protecting one another. Enjoying life by being free to live, listening to the voice of God instead of me and you and 3,000 different churches and how many governments, all this stuff, whoop upside your head. Listen to God and live. Be who you are. It's all you got to do because it's all intertwined, interconnected, and it takes care of itself. You just do your part and love. Now, I think that you're not going to get this from no church. You're not going to get this from no church. Not at all. But let me tell you something. Then I'm going to go. You might be called an ignorant person for thinking like this, and you know you'll be called ignorant if you walk like this. But when you have seen a burning bush, when you have been blind and your eyes open and you can see, when you've been lame and couldn't walk and now you can, when you've been deaf and now you hear, when you've been dumb but now you speak, when you've been dead and now you are alive, how can you be quiet? How can you be quiet about it when other folks just have some story? Come on. You know what I'm talking about. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.